Hey guys, today we're looking at another motherboard from Scan. This is the Asus ROG Strix Z790-H. This was a little bit of a later launch. It was around May, I believe, after the first Z790 launch for 13th gen. But this was a board that I always had my eye on for a really great price to performance, so that's why I've got it in for this one. Now, if you don't know Scan Computers UK, they have a massive range of different components, anything you could possibly need to build your own system. They also have their 3XS pre-built systems if you don't want to actually build it yourself. And I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. So like I mentioned, this was a really good bang for buck board, and I thought it would be a really good time to actually pick one as we're doing this little new series with Scan anyway. So let's check this board out and I'll run you through what it offers. So Z790, so support for 12th, 13th and 14th gen. This will hopefully support 14th gen out of the box by the time you get to actually buy one as well. It's got Wi-Fi antennas. This supports Wi-Fi 6E. So they are in there. They're also magnetic as well, so you can stick them on the back of your case. Let's get the board out first and put that to the side. So loads of things in the box down below. We've got a keychain you can put on your keys. We've got a pad for an single-sided M.2. There's some cable ties, a couple of SATA cables, one of which is right angled. We've got another quick release for an M.2. There's another single-sided pad, another quick release, a little plastic bit here, not quite sure what that's for, hopefully we can find out, and then an additional thermal pad. I really like they're including these because sometimes they get quite worn out, especially if you're swapping drivers in and out like I do. Really nice to have an additional one. Then we've got some documentation. I have noticed a few manufacturers are now not including manuals, so it's nice that Asus is still doing it. I think it's one thing that is really handy to have over trying to open it on a phone. Now, I've always liked the Strix designs, especially when they have this really chunky kind of VRM and heatsink combo. If I try and tilt this, you can see just how thick that aluminium or aluminum at the top there is. I've always liked the look of the Strix boards, but they're generally more expensive, and to have one at this kind of price point I think is a really nice thing to see. So hopefully the features that it offers will match up with the appearance. So let's run you through. Let's go to the top. On the left hand side, this will actually light up in RGB. You can control it. There is a pill, but we'll leave that on for now. Nice brushed aluminium. Goes all the way around the VRM. You can see all of those chokes and things covered in there. This has got a 16+1 power stage. I would have no hesitation about putting some higher end SKUs in this board. I'm sure it will handle it with ease. Let's have a look around. So on the top we have got two 8-pin EPS connectors. There's also a 4-pin fan header there as well as slightly further along. So that's two already. Then we've got a 5-volt addressable RGB and a standard 12-volt. We've also got some postcode LEDs on the right hand side, or their QLED, very handy things to see. Then we've got our 24-pin for motherboard power, USB Type-C connector, so this is USB 3.2 Gen 2x2, so 20 gigabits per second. We've got the USB 3 header, so USB 3.2 Gen 1. On the right angle, we've got 4 SATA ports up to 6 gigabits per second. Then we've also got another 4-pin header just below. Of course, front panel in the bottom right hand corner, an additional 2 4-pin headers. 2 USB 2 headers, so great for anything that uses hubs like NZXT and Corsair, for example. They always use those kind of headers. There's a Thunderbolt header on this board as well, which is a very nice thing to see if you want to add an additional Thunderbolt card. Then there's additional 2 5-volt addressable headers, so a total of 3 on this board, pretty impressive. And there's another 4-pin fan header, and then we've got our front panel audio. And then if I go up to the socket, there's also an additional 2 fan headers in there. So that's a total of 8 4-pin fan headers on this board. Of course, the LGA 1700, so support for 12th, 13th and 14th gen. And then to the right of that, we've got our DIMM slots. So that will support DDR5 up to 128 gigabytes of 7800 megahertz. That will be with XMP. You can obviously push it higher if you want to do it manually. So looking into our expansion slots and storage, there's a little bit of foam we have to remove. So remove cushion before installation. Let's unscrew this heatsink and see what we've got underneath. So turning that upside down, we've got a big thermal pad, and then the same on the actual slot itself. This will take up to 110mm Gen 4 SSD. And then going a bit further down, we've got an additional 2 more covers, so let's take off these as well. So taking off the second cover, thermal pad on the back, and then support for up to an 80mm Gen 4 drive. Taking this one off, we've got support for another 110mm Gen 4 drive and another 80mm Gen 4 on the right. So that gives us a total of 4 NVMe slots, 2 110mm Gen 4 and 2 80mm Gen 4. In terms of our expansion slots, we have got a PCIe X16, this is a Gen 5 slot. And we've got an additional one further down, which will be Gen 4. Then we have got a PCIe X1 further up. But of course, these bottom two you could use for capture cards and sound cards and things like that. So let's look at the rear I/O. We've got a lot going on here. First and foremost, the DisplayPort 1.4 and an HDMI 2.1. We have got a couple USBs here. These are USB 2, but one of those is also for the BIOS when you use the flash button just below. Very handy thing to see. Also a clear seamless button, really good for troubleshooting. The 4 blue USB ports, these are USB 3.2 Gen 1, so 5 gigabits. And then we've got the red ones here, which are USB 3.2 Gen 2. We've got one Type C, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2. And then we've got another one, which is USB 3.2 Gen 2x2, so 20 gigabits per second. 2.5 gig LAN. Our Wi-Fi 6E antennas also does have Bluetooth built into the board as well. And then we've got our audio options at the bottom. So I think with the exception of Gen 5 storage, I think this board offers a lot for the money. And I think at the $249 price point that they currently have it advertised for is actually a fairly good price. You generally see, like I said before, the Strix boards are a lot more expensive, especially with this kind of design and the fact you've got RGB and everything that lights up. To see it on this kind of one is a nice thing to see. And it's also just beefed up for VRMs and things like that as well. So I'd have no troubles while like running a higher end SKU in this board at all. I will put the links in the description box if you want to pick one up. Of course, thank you to Scan for sending them out for me to look at. Any more questions, anything I haven't covered you want to know, put it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you all in the next one.